Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Unity of Charlotte. Welcome to our live service coming to you this morning on YouTube. Soon to be live again, I'm absolutely sure. Unity of Charlotte, where our mission is to nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we're here to love and to grow and to serve together in community, wherever we might happen to be. I'm Reverend Jim Fuller, and I'm glad to have you with us on YouTube if you're watching us live or if you're watching one of our later broadcasts. And I invite you just to sit back and really take this in as your morning opportunity to center and to be in that presence with us, knowing that there are people all around the city, maybe farther, joining with you, even if you can't see them right now. We're going to start our service by sharing together our traditional prayer of oneness. It goes like this: there is one presence and one power in my life and universe, God the good omnipotence. Let's say that together. There is one presence and one power in my life and universe, God the good omnipotence. And so it is. Let's just close our eyes for a moment of prayer. Let you just kind of center into wherever your body is sitting and let that body just relax into the seat, wherever you happen to be. Take a couple of nice deep breaths and just let yourself be present right there, just as you are, wherever you are. Because we know deep inside that wherever we are, God is. That presence and that spirit, that creator, that source of us all is present with each of us, right where we are in every moment. Present in the room where you are, present within your mind, within your thoughts, present within your physical body. God, the good omnipotence, the one power, the one presence, present with you. And we know that as we relax into and open to that source guides and blesses us and leads us forward. So we invite that source to be with us and ourselves to be with that source, that presence, during this service together, during this time together. Knowing that with the slightest invitation on our part, the presence of God is there, active, not just there, but active in our lives. And so for that presence, for that spirit, for that one life, that one mind that we all share in God, let us say together simply, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So it is. Amen. Well, again, thank you all, wherever you may be, for joining us here on YouTube this Sunday. We look forward to the opportunity to begin gathering together in some form in the not too distant future. I know that'll be happening. If you are watching us, or as you are watching us on YouTube, if you tap the subscribe button, then you'll be notified whenever we're back online again. You'll get our talks coming directly to you in our programs. Hopefully we can even have some other ones in the future beyond services. And if you tap the like, that will help other people find us as well. On normal Sundays, we have a youth education program that operates at the same time as this service. Wonderful program for children of various ages, teaching them helpful ways to think about, look about, interact with life, with their world. And if any of you at this point in your life are in need of prayer support, or if you know of somebody who is in need of prayer support, you can go to our website, unityofcharlotte.org, and you'll find a place to submit a prayer request where our prayer team will then take your prayer request and hold it with you over the next days and weeks. Wonderful way to submit prayer requests for yourself or for people you love who you know are in need right now. So prayer requests through the unityofcharlotte.org website. You can also call Unity's Silent Unity Prayer Ministry, our national organization. You can actually phone them and speak with a person on the phone any time of the day or night. That includes 3 a.m. when you wake up and the mind is spinning. You just dial 800-NOW-PRAY, NOWPRAY, and someone will answer the phone and say, Silent Unity, how may we pray with you? And then they'll pray with you and then hold your prayer request over the next 30 days. So opportunities to do that. You can also go to the main Unity website, unity.org, and find meditations, classes, activities you can do online, while things in the church here are kind of quiet for the moment. That's the opportunities you have here. And keep in touch with us. Make sure we know how to keep in touch with you so that we can let you know as things update here. We also have an affirmation for the month, a new affirmation for May. I'm just going to read this to you. I'll read it twice so you can let this resound in your mind along with me. The affirmation for May is, with God as my guide, I am destined to thrive. Alone, I may seem powerless and lacking, but united with my Creator, my potential is limitless. I welcome divine mind into my mind and know, with God as my guide, I am destined to thrive. Say that with me. With God as my guide, I am destined to thrive. One more time. With God as my guide, I am destined to thrive. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to do something just a little different today for our meditation. I am going to use a metta prayer. This is a translation by Jack Kornfield, a Buddhist teacher, monk, operator of the Spirit Rock Center in California. Great teacher, great presence, great spiritual presence. He took the words of the Buddha and translated them into fairly simple English, or at least found a simple English translation that simply says, and I'll say it for myself, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease, and may I be happy. Now, the word translation of what the Buddha said, here's part of how he described it. He said, like a caring mother holding and guarding the life of her only child, so with boundless heart of loving kindness, hold yourself and all beings as your beloved children. So with a boundless heart of loving kindness, hold yourself and all beings as your beloved children. It's a beautiful little prayer. And our friend Karen Drucker has put a little melody around the Buddha's prayer and Jack's words. And I'm going to sing it to you and then invite you just to kind of sing along. I want you to get this tune caught inside your head. I'll sing it as you for the first time or two. Just listen to this. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. Close your eyes and listen to this. I'm going to sing this to you. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Now we're going to think of somebody, each one of us, someone that we love, someone that we feel connected to and that we care about. Any person will do. Pick that person in your mind and sing along with me as we sing the song to them twice. Here we go. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. We're going to sing that to them again. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Now we're going to think of somebody who the Buddhists would say would be a benefactor. Somebody who has really been there for you at some point in your life in some way. Maybe somebody who's really there for you right now, or maybe somebody from your past. Whoever that person is, I want you to think of them. We're going to sing this little you to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Again to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Continuing with that energy, we're going to sing it for ourselves. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. Again for yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. Feels good. Feel that. Now I'm going to let you think of somebody who may be one of the difficult people in your life. Could be a challenging person from right now. Could be a challenging person from the past. We're going to sing the same blessing to them as a you. Help heal some of that energy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. One more time for that challenging person. They need to heal it, just like you do. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Now we're going to sing it for all beings everywhere, for everyone, for everything. We're going to sing it as may we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. Again, for everyone, everywhere. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. We're going to let that take us into a moment of quiet. Just rest in that energy. be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and peace. May we be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we all be well. May we be peaceful and peace. May we be happy. Take a couple deep breaths, let that settle in. And then gently begin to bring yourself back to your body, to the place where you're seated, to your room, to this moment right here, where that love energy of loving kindness is present for and with us all. It's a beautiful little prayer. I love to share at times, and I'm grateful to Karen Drucker for coming up with that melody to help us be able to chant it as well as just say it. Well, I've got a couple thoughts I want to share today. We used to live in a world that seemed trustworthy, at least somewhat dependable. More recently, things have become seemingly less trustworthy. So one of the things we need to ask ourselves is, are we going to trust our own mind, our own perceptions, to help us navigate this world that seems undependable? Right now, my little human mind, the little Jim Fuller mind in there, is shouting, "You bet you better trust me. I can see what's going on. I can tell you what's going on. I can tell you what to watch out for. You need to pay attention. This is a matter of life and death." Now, that last part should be the hint as to why I shouldn't be listening to that voice, okay? That should be the hint as to why I should be cautious about that voice. Because, let's see, we just celebrated a holiday recently. What holiday was it? Oh, yeah, Easter. Easter. And what's Easter about? Easter is about our potential for overcoming obstacles and problems, including big ones like fear and death and whatever, right? It's about raising our vision, raising our consciousness to find something greater, something we can depend on, something that will guide us through the apparent times of trouble, better than the little voice inside my head. I want to talk to you about that today. First, I'm going to talk to you about my wife, who is sitting here smirking, looking at me like, what? My wife loves movies. Her daughter loves movies too. Movies are great. Movies are little stories, little dramas. Some of them are funny. Some of them are inspiring. Some of them are just drama. If our current world situation was a movie, would you not describe it as high drama right now? High drama. But last Sunday, our friend Reverend Sally was here, and she was talking about the end of the story. And clearly in this movie that we're in, we're nowhere near the end of the story. We're somewhere in the middle of the story, right? We're somewhere in the middle of this movie. We've met some of the characters in the movie. Some of the characters in our movie, we kind of like them. They're nice. We like them. We appreciate them. Some of the characters we're not so sure about. And some we actively dislike. It's just like a movie, right? But remember, in the movies, the characters aren't always what they seem to be. Same in real life. The characters aren't always what they appear to be. Now, by this point in the movie we're in, we've had a chance to meet the characters. We've had a chance to get some glimpses of beauty and virtue and goodness. And then there's that twist in the plot. The twist when the problem comes up, when the difficulty comes up. And we have to find a solution. That's what the last part of the movie is about, always. Now, if this was a crime movie, we'd be looking for a clever detective. to come and solve our problems. If it was a sci-fi movie, we might be looking for a group of scientists or, a wise science person to come and solve it. If it was a superhero movie, we would be waiting for the superhero to show up and solve the problem. Well, this morning I want us to consider that it is a superhero movie and that the superheroes have already arrived and they are here to solve the problem and that we are them. Remember, in the superhero movies, in their normal life, the superheroes look like regular people. They don't look different or special. But they have powers or abilities to be used, as we do. Now, I'm not just trying to be philosophical or metaphoric. I'm actually serious about this. We have powers that are available for us to use, powers of mind. And today I want to talk about one specifically, our power of will. It can also be thought of as our power of choice. Unity has a number of little books put out from the time of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. One was called The 12 Powers of Man. It was published in 1930. If it was published nowadays, it would have to be called The 12 Powers of People, or Women and Men. But 1930, 12 Powers of Man. And in that, you can read about the inherent superpowers or capabilities present in everybody, including me and including you, okay? If you choose to read it, let me just mention a couple things. Because it is a Charles Fillmore book, it was probably never written as a book. 12 Powers of Man is actually a collection of 12 excerpts taken from talks and writings by Charles on the different superpowers or spiritual powers present in all people. It was written over, these are talks that took place over many years, and it was never even put together as a book. It was put together as a compilation of ideas, probably by his secretary, Cora, toward the end of his speaking career. But it is a wonderful thing because it is examples of the powers or the capabilities that each one of us possess. Charles worked with these very diligently in himself to develop them, and himself helped others do that. We can look at doing that ourselves. During his speaking and writing career, Charles talked about naturally occurring spiritual powers, powers that could be identified and developed. And one of those powers, he singled out as being special. He called it the executive power of the mind. It was the executive among all the other powers. And he called that the power of will. The power of will. It is our power of choice. I like to think of it in that way often. It's our power to focus our attention, our intentions, and our energies where we will, where we choose. Now, according to Charles, these powers work in conjunction with each other. So our power of will works in conjunction with our power of spiritual understanding. It's either helped by our deepened sense of spiritual understanding, or can be kind of held back if our spiritual understanding is a little immature. It also, at its best, works in conjunction with our power of what Charles called imagination. The power to get images, ideas from the mind of God, directly from what we would call God mind. So when that's working together, we are actually connected with what we would call God mind or higher mind, and downloading ideas through that power of imagination, and then using our will to direct those ideas to meet our apparent human needs. Most of the time, or much of the time, most of us, our idea of our power of will is I will. Jim wills. This is my idea. But we can go higher. And the thing to keep in mind is, whether it's inspired by higher will or by human will, our power of will, our executive power of mind, is going to chart the course of our life. It's going to form the experiences of our life. It's going to form the world around us. It's going to form our circumstances. That's why I say our power of will is a superpower that we have. So, regardless of what is showing up in your life or mine, we always have the power to will and to choose. To will and to choose. How will we choose to think about what's going on around us? What stories will we tell ourselves about what's going on? What will we choose to focus on in terms of higher or lower mind? Are we going to seek our answers from appearances and from what our little small minds chatter away at us? Or are we going to look for inspiration in higher thoughts? That's our ability to will and to choose. Share a little story. Back in 1893, well over 100 years ago, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore traveled to Chicago, Illinois, to attend the very first ever Parliament of World Religions. A group of people had gotten together, a group of ministers and church people had gotten together and invited people from all over the world to come and share ideas and thoughts in Chicago. 1893, we know Charles and Myrtle were there. One of the speakers that showed up there, who was one of the first, was a man named Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was one of the first Indian teachers to come and share that set of teachings here in this country and to travel across the country sharing it. We know that Charles and Myrtle had read his writings for sure and probably seen him in several of his talks there. And because Charles and Myrtle were fans of Ralph Waldo Emerson, they would have understood exactly what Vivekananda was talking about. Because, of course, Emerson was a big fan of the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, the basic spiritual texts of India. A lot of his writings and a lot of his influence on the Fillmores comes from that. Found a little quote from Vivekananda that I like. It's appropriate for today. It's basically 3 parts. First, he talks about seeing and how to look. And he says, only sinners see sin. So see not the man, see only the Lord. See not the person out there, see only God. How to look. See not the person, see only God. Vivekananda goes on then to say, we manufacture our own heaven. How about that? How's that for a thought? We manufacture our own heaven, and we can make a heaven even in hell, he says. But he goes on to warn, sinners are only to be found in hell. And as long as we see them around us, we are there ourselves. The part I want to focus on, it's a good warning, isn't it? That's a good warning, isn't it? As long as we see them around us, we're there. He makes the point, though, we manufacture our own heaven. We can make a heaven even in what to some people might appear to be a hell. We can have a heavenly experience. You like that? Does that sound like a superpower to be able to do that? We can do it. Here's a question. If your power of will, if my power of will has the ability and the potential to build my life, to build my world, to build my experience of life, isn't it likely that it's doing that right now? Even as you're listening to me right now? That your power of will is building your world, your heaven, your whatever right now? That's happening in this moment. Isn't it likely that both your highest ideas and ideals and your most confused and fearful imaginings are being played out on the movie screen right in front of your mind? Played out on the movie screen right there. That's how I see it. Individually and collectively played out for us. If we're in the middle of the movie and we're looking for the hero. Now, for some people, they say that's kind of an unpopular teaching, Isn't that kind of blaming the victim for what's going on around them? Isn't that blaming the person? But Charles Fillmore would have said absolutely not. He would have said spiritual principles are spiritual principles, just like math, just like chemistry, just like physics. 2 + 2 = 1 thing. If you come up with a different answer, there's an error in there. Get the error out, it all works beautifully. Share a little story from me. Example. When I was a kid, I was an only child. My mother was not able to have children after me. It must have been a pretty traumatic experience. She was a great mom. And one of the things she liked to do, she wasn't really a big fan of cooking a lot, but she loved to bake. And as a kid, I remember her letting me help bake cakes and bake brownies. We'd go in the kitchen and I learned you could mix some flour and sugar and eggs and butter and mix it all up and, add a little cocoa to it. You could get something really tasty. You could have a great cake or a great pan of brownies. I also began to realize that if you added something like hot sauce, which is great on barbecue, right? Or something like potatoes and onions, which are great in stew, you'd have a pretty lousy cake. You would not really have much of a good cake. So it is somewhat about the ingredients we mix in. It's true in baking, it's true in our lives. What ingredients am I selecting? Where am I looking for my recipe, right? In my house, it was the joy of cooking. I have my mom's old cookbook. Am I looking for recipes, or am I just making stuff up out of the brilliant mind of Jim Fuller? My mom, who was a really great sport, let me do that a couple times in the kitchen, I remember. She could bake from memory, and she let me a couple times go in and mix up stuff and put it in a little pan and bake it in the oven. I remember one pan of something, it kind of looked like brownies. It was very firm. It was basically inedible. I tried to eat a couple pieces, and it's like, not too good, not too good. Again, where are we looking for our recipes? Where are we looking for how to build and bake our life? One of the things we have a tendency to do is to critique our life as it is right now, right? We tend to have a tendency to critique our life as it is right now. We look at what we've cooked up in the past and we say whether we like it or whether we don't. Rather than do that, wouldn't it make a lot more sense just to be careful about what we are baking today, to use our power of will, our power of choice, to put together things today that will bake something that's beautiful? Because, what I put in the oven today is going to be on my table tomorrow, whether I like it or not. So if I'm mindful about what I'm baking right now, I will have a much, much nicer experience tomorrow. And certainly, arguing with the cake on the table is not going to solve any problem. We need to look where we're looking for recipes. We need to look at what ingredients we're putting in. We need to look at what ingredients, beliefs, judgments, blessings, criticism, love. What are you mixing in? In a world that seems increasingly, polite word, uncomfortable, maybe fearful, maybe uncertain, these are important ideas. As Unity students, as budding metaphysicians, we understand that what we do choose to focus our minds on, what we choose to think about and pray about and text about and post on Facebook and gossip about, those are the things we're baking today. Those are the things that are going to be showing up on our table and in our world tomorrow. Those are the things that are also going to be affecting the people around us. My point for today is that we basically have two levels of choosing what we're going to bake, what we're going to work with. We can choose to align with our own basic human will. My will be done, says Jim Fuller, small person who is fearful at times. My will be done. Or we can choose to align with something higher, something greater, that power of will, that power of divine will, where Jesus says, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Those are the choices. If we're working from the my will, which, let's face it, much of the time we do, one of the things we can choose at that level is choice of blessing. That's why I had us do that metta prayer, right? A prayer of blessing. Because when I feel like I'm spiritually disconnected from God and I got to do something, I can send out a blessing. I can always send out a blessing. And then I'm putting at least good ingredients into my mix of what I'm cooking. It basically follows the Apostle Paul's advice in Romans to bless and do not curse. So my prayer, my blessing is, may I, may you, may we be filled with loving kindness, warm feelings of connection and belonging. May we be well, may we be peaceful, may we be It invites us to direct that superpower of will in a universal way, and including not just friends, but those who may seem at this point in the movie to be antagonistic toward us. Remember, in the movie, the characters are rarely what they seem to be. Same in our lives. And as we choose to extend a more universal blessing, we begin to have experiences of living in a more blessed universe. So willing or choosing to bless everyone is a safe way of using that superpower of will and choice and avoiding mixing in the unwanted ingredients. There is also a higher level of choice, as I mentioned, the thy will be done. Choosing to will or choose with the divine. That takes some patience and practice. We have to learn how to ask for and listen for and actually want higher guidance or inspiration. Those things Fillmore referred to as our power of imagination, letting images and ideas from God mind show up in our mind. Those powers of developing spiritual understanding, not thinking, not logic, not reading, downloading information from a higher source. If you've been working on developing these, you know, as I know, that it takes practice, it takes patience. It's often hard to choose, to learn to choose between the two, maybe to discern between the two, you know? It's hard to listen for higher guidance when my little mind is going, pay attention to me, this is dangerous, you need to listen to me. But with practice, we can learn to discern between higher guidance, higher will, and our own little human will. Among other things, our human will just kind of tends to rearrange our favorite ideas and thoughts in new ways and say, oh, here's a new idea. Here's a new idea. Once we begin to realize that that happens in our minds often, more often than we think, it's a little bit humbling, but it's also helpful because it helps us begin to notice what's just my thoughts and what really are higher thoughts, a higher will to guide us. That more universal level that blesses not just me, but everyone and everything, and that brings real, genuine, sustainable answers. The superheroes and the heroes in the movies are the ones who can see past the surface problems, see past the chatter, see past the distractions, and uncover the real underlying problem. And once they identify the real underlying problem, then they can bring in those higher solutions that are not just temporary band-aids over a problem, but really resolve the problem. Resolve it at the highest level. With our superpowers, we can do this too. We can do it in two ways. At the most common in our ordinary days, we can simply learn to think, I would say, like God, blessing all. Blessing, 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 blessing. That's the simple. And after as we work with that, we can also begin to think with God, inviting, using our will to will for God mind to work through our mind. And so in keeping with that thought, I put together a little affirmation for today that says, divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets us free. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets us free. Say that with me together. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets us free. Say it with me again, please. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets us free. One more time together. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets us free. Close your eyes and let that settle in for a minute. Wherever we are, whatever our situation, the presence, the spirit, the mind of God, divine will, thy will be done, as Jesus would say. Thy will is present. It's present to guide and inspire our little wills. So that when we use our power of will, it's not just our small thoughts. It's not just our small solutions. It is the power of divine will moving through us. And as that moves through, it blesses all. You can tell if a solution is a God solution because it is win, 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 no losers. Win, win. That divine will, that divine inspiration blesses, it heals, it sets us all free. Sets us all free from all the little thoughts that have been distracting us from the beauty that is here for us all the time. From the goodness that is here for us all the time. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets me free. Say that one with me, it's me. Divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, blesses, heals, and sets me free. Sets me free. And as we become free, we naturally release all those around us. And we get to see them and our world as it truly is. I'll invite you to open your eyes. Come back and join me again. And remember that thought as you go through your week. The divine will, guiding and inspiring my will, your will, our will, blesses, heals, sets us all free at death. Well, that's my thought for this week. Hope you hold that in your mind. Hope you go back and listen to it again. Maybe go back and sing the song. You can go to Karen Drucker's YouTube channel and you can hear her sing her song called Loving Kindness. You can sing along with Karen. It's a beautiful thing to follow. Well, at this point, we're coming to the opportunity to share an offering with this Unity Ministry. And then we'll conclude with a prayer and a last peace song. At this point, obviously, I cannot pass the offering plate out to you. If I tried, it would probably not work too well. But you can, of course, mail in your offerings to us. If you are someone that likes to mail, that doesn't want to do it on the phone, you can mail in offerings. We have an address here of 401 East Arrowwood Road, Charlotte 28217. 401 East Arrowwood Road, Charlotte 28217. Or you can do what I did. I actually did it last night. I took my phone. I went to unityofcharlotte.org. I hit the little donate button. I securely entered my credit card information. I got an email response almost immediately thanking me for my donation, so I know it went through. What a wonderful way to give. What a wonderful way to keep Unity of Charlotte strong and thriving. If you're someone who's been giving to us in the past, been supporting this ministry, please, we do need your continued support. It is very important to us, particularly at this time. In fact, if any of you can give a little more, that would be lovely. If you have never given to us before, why don't you consider it? Maybe there's some reason, maybe there's something here for you. And through your giving, you support that. I always see giving to churches and spiritual organizations as a way of partnering with God to keep the channels open for the messages and the thoughts that bless and heal and lift us up. And we need that right now. So I'm going to invite us to say together our prosperity blessing, our offering blessing that we use. And I'll just say it once, and then you can say it with me the second time. And it simply goes, joyously I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Joyously I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Well, this is the time when we usually close with our prayer of protection and the peace song. We will do that again today. I'm going to say the prayer of protection through twice. That way, if you're not, actually, I'm going to say each line twice. So you at home, if you're sitting at home with me, can say it with me the second time, and we can say it together. Know again, there's people all over our city and all over our country who are watching and joining with us, and we're joining together with them. So yeah, reach out and take the hand of the person beside you. Take the virtual hand of the person beside you. If you can't imagine a person beside you, imagine an angel taking each hand. An angel taking each hand as we say this prayer. And the prayer goes, the light of God surrounds us. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you for being here with us. Look forward to seeing you again soon on YouTube. And hopefully, fairly soon, back here in the sanctuary. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as we are, united harmony. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, practice be the moment now. When every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, that was Donna.